We talk cold hard cash, but in coin form. If you've got a drawer full of loose change or a jar sitting on the shelf collecting dust, hold up, today might just change your life, because sitting right there in that pile of everyday quarters might be a 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter, worth a mind-blowing $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.5 million for a single quarter. That's the kind of money that makes you double-check your pockets, your couch cushions, and even that old toolbox in the garage. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Come on, a quarter? From 1967? Worth more than a Lamborghini? Yep. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why this one is so special, what to look for, and how one lucky guy like you or me can turn 25 cents into a retirement fund. So picture this. It was about 15 years ago. I was helping my dad clean out his old fishing cabin. We're talking piles of dusty magazines, rusty tools, and yes, a giant coffee can full of coins. Now I wasn't into coin collecting back then. I was more interested in whether the old fridge still had beer in it. But something about that coin jar caught my eye. I picked through it just for fun. Pulled out a few wheat pennies, some worn out nickels. And then I saw it. This old quarter looked like it had been through a war. 1967, no mint mark. I kept it. Tossed it in my own junk drawer. Fast forward to a few years ago, and I started getting into coins, like many of you. I remembered that quarter. Dug it out, did some research, and my jaw dropped. Now, no, mine wasn't the $1 million one. But it was a valuable error coin worth over $1,000. And that sent me down the rabbit hole. That's why I'm here today. Because you might have the one. And I want to make sure you know what to look for. The 1967 Washington quarter was part of the transitional era in U.S. coinage. It was made when the country had just stopped producing silver quarters, which ended in 1964. By 1967, the mint was cranking out quarters made from a copper-nickel clad instead of the old 90% silver. These newer coins didn't carry a mint mark because during the years 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint didn't want collectors hoarding coins based on where they were made. That means all quarters from 1967 came without a mint mark, regardless of whether they were made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Millions of these coins were produced. Over 1.5 billion in fact. So what makes one worth $1.50 million? Number 1, a mistrike. These are coins that were struck off center or on the wrong planchet. Some 1967 quarters have been found struck on dime planchets or even on old silver blanks. That kind of mistake is rare, and collectors go wild for them. Number 2, double die errors. That's when the design is struck twice, but slightly off. It creates a ghost-like double image, usually visible on the date or the lettering. There's one known 1967 double die obverse quarter that sold for a fortune. Number 3, condition. A flawless 1967 quarter graded as MS 68 or higher, meaning it's virtually perfect, can command insane prices. Add in a rare error and boom, you're looking at 7 figures. One of these unicorns was sold at auction for $1.5 million. Why? It was a pristine example of a wrong planchet strike, in immaculate condition, with certified documentation from top grading services. That kind of combo is what turns pocket change into life-changing money. Alright, so now you're probably digging in your pocket or eyeing that jar on your dresser. Good. Second, there should be no mint mark under the date. That's normal for this year, so don't panic. Now look closely at the coin's edges. Does it have a clean, sharp reeded edge? Or does it feel weird, almost like it's thinner than usual? If it feels too light or too small, it could be a wrong planchet error. Check the weight. A standard 1967 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs significantly less or more, something's off, and that's a good thing. Use a magnifying glass to inspect for doubling on the date or the word Liberty. If you see a ghost image or any kind of doubling, don't spend it. Finally, check the condition. If your coin has no scratches, no wear, and it shines like it just left the mint, it could be a high-grade example. send it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These folks are the real deal. They'll examine your coin under high-powered equipment, determine if it's authentic, and assign it a grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the more it's worth. If your coin hits MS67 or MS68 with a confirmed error, you're sitting on a goldmine, and don't forget, a certified coin is way easier to sell for big bucks. Collectors trust that grade like it's gospel. Well, there's a whole world of serious collectors and investors out there. Auctions like Heritage and Stack's Bowers regularly host million-dollar coin sales. Private collectors are constantly hunting rare pieces to complete their sets. You can also work with high-end coin dealers or investment groups. Some of them are willing to make a generous offer if you've got documentation to back up your coin's rarity. Just make sure you do your homework. Don't rush into a sale. Get multiple offers. Know what your coin is really worth, because once you sell it, there's no turning back. That humble little 1967 no mint mark quarter? It might just be your lottery ticket. Sure, most of them are worth 25 cents. But that 1 in a billion error, in mint condition, could net you $1.5 million. That's a quarter that buys you a house, a boat, and a fishing trip to Alaska with plenty left over. And let's be honest, you were gonna check that change jar eventually anyway, right? So take a few minutes. Go through your quarters. Look closely. You never know what you've been carrying around all these years, and hey, if you find something interesting, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your coin stories. Maybe you've got a rare one and don't even know it yet. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more treasure hunting coin content, and ring the bell so you never miss a big money find. Fellas, let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your spare change? I mean really looked, not just tossing quarters into the cup holder or the kitchen drawer. Because if you've got a 1966 Washington quarter with no mint mark, you might be sitting on a gold mine. And no, I'm not joking. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that's been shocking collectors and dealers across the country. This humble little quarter, minted in 1966, has made headlines for reaching a jaw-dropping value of $1.6 million. That's right, a single quarter, worth more than most folks' homes. Grab a cup of coffee or your favorite drink, settle in, and let's talk about why this coin is worth millions, how to spot one, and what makes it so incredibly rare. Let me take you back a bit. A few years ago, I was helping my dad clean out his old garage. You know how it is, boxes of random junk, dusty tools, an old fishing rod that hadn't seen water since the 80s. Well, I came across a rusted coffee tin full of coins. Quarters, nickels, pennies, all mixed in. Most folks would have just taken that straight to the bank, rolled it up, and cashed it in, but not me. I started picking through it, checking dates. I've always had an eye for old stuff. Maybe it's the collector in me. And wouldn't you know it, right there in that coffee tin was a 1966 quarter. At the time, I didn't know what I had. But now? Knowing what I know now, that coin could have been worth over $1 million. Don't toss your change. Don't ignore what's jingling in your pockets. Because today's video might just change the way you see that spare quarter. Alright, so let's start with a little history. The 1966 Washington quarter is part of the post-silver era. In 1965, the U.S. Mint stopped making quarters with 90% silver. Instead, they switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That transition was huge because it changed the entire game for collectors. Now here's where it gets interesting. The 1966 quarter was made during a time when the mint stopped using mint marks. No P, no D, no S. Just blank. That makes it tough to track where each coin came from. But it also makes it a mystery coin, and mystery always adds value. Millions of these quarters were produced, but only a tiny fraction are valuable. So what makes one worth $1.6 million? Now this is the meat of it. There are a few key factors that turn a regular 1966 quarter into $1 million coin. First, condition. If you've got a 1966 quarter in pristine condition, we're talking MS 67 or higher, it's already worth a good chunk. But if it's one of the few struck with a rare error or anomaly, that's where the big money comes in. Second, errors. One of the most valuable 1966 quarters had a rare die clash error. That means the coin dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghost images on the coin's surface. That kind of mistake can multiply the value many times over. There are also coins with doubled dies, where the letters and numbers look like they have shadows or doubling. Those are extremely collectible, and then there's strike quality. Some coins were struck with unusually strong pressure or on planchets that weren't meant for quarters, like a dime planchet or even a foreign coin planchet. These minting mistakes are like winning the lottery. Let's talk about the specific quarter that hit 1.6 million. This coin came to light during a major coin show. A collector had picked it up at a flea market in a bag of loose change, just $5 for a handful of old coins. But when an expert saw it, they immediately noticed something strange. The luster was different. The strike was unusually sharp. And after closer inspection, it was confirmed, a rare transitional error, a one-of-a-kind piece. When it hit auction, collectors went wild. Phone bidders from Europe, Asia, and America fought for it. Final hammer price? $1.6 million. And to think, it was sitting in a bag of junk coins. Now here's the part you've been waiting for. How do you know if your 1966 quarter is worth something? Start with the basics. Flip it over and look for unusual features. Are there doubled letters or numbers? That's a red flag. In a good way. Check the rim. Is it thicker or thinner than usual? Are there reading lines missing? Feel the weight. A standard quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If it's way off, you could have something struck on the wrong metal. Finally, look for clash marks or signs of overstriking. If anything looks out of the ordinary, it's worth taking it to a coin shop or sending it in for grading. Right now, high-grade 1966 quarters can easily fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars. MS 65 graded coins are selling for $200 to $500. But the real gems, the errors, the anomalies, the flawless pieces, those are skyrocketing. The market for rare coins is hotter than ever. With inflation, folks are turning to tangible assets, and coins are right at the top of the list. That's why a coin like this can be worth over $1 million. Scarcity plus condition plus historical significance equals serious value. More of these coins are out there. Sitting in drawers, change jars, car cup holders. Possibly in your pocket. That if you're just getting into coin collecting or want to dig into your own stash, here are some quick tips. Point 1. Always check your change. Especially quarters from the 60s and earlier. Point 2. Get a good magnifier. Errors can be tiny but valuable. Point 3. Study up. Get a coin book or follow coin forums online. Point 4. Consider grading if you think you've got something special. A professional grade can turn a $5 coin into a 5-figure windfall. And 5. Store your coins properly. Use coin flips, holders, or albums to protect them from wear. That 1966 no mint mark quarter is more than just spare change. It's history. It's mystery. And in some cases, it's $1 million payday. So next time you get change at the store or crack open that old piggy bank, take a second look. You never know what treasure might be hiding right under your nose. If this video got you thinking twice about your pocket change, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below if you've ever come across an old coin you thought was valuable. Keep hunting, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next guy with $1 million quarter. Now let me ask you something straight off the bat. Have you ever had a quarter in your hand and thought, man, this thing feels lucky? Maybe it was just pocket change, maybe it helped you grab a quick coffee or feed a parking meter. But what if I told you there's a 1983 quarter out there, specifically the 1983 P. Washington quarter, that's not just lucky, it's worth $1.7 million? Yeah, you heard me right. $1.7 million for a single 25-cent piece. So don't go anywhere, because today we're diving deep into the story of this insanely valuable coin. I'll walk you through what makes it so special, how you can tell if you might have one, and how regular guys like us, yes, even with pockets full of jingling change, could be sitting on a fortune. And hey, I'll even share a personal story about a time I almost threw away a coin that turned out to be worth a whole lot more than I thought. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Alright, let's kick things off by talking about what exactly makes this 1983 P. Washington quarter such a big deal. The 1983 P. Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia, hence the P. mint mark. It's part of the regular circulation coins, so it's not like this was some special collector's edition or commemorative piece. These quarters were made by the millions, over 673 million, to be exact. So how in the world does a common coin become worth nearly $2 million? Well, it all comes down to three big factors: condition, rarity, and a very special minting error. Now here's where it gets juicy. See, in 1982 and 1983, the US Mint didn't release uncirculated sets like they normally did in other years. That meant that coin collectors couldn't get perfect condition coins straight from the mint, they had to rely on whatever was out in the wild. So finding a 1983 P quarter in amazing condition? Nearly impossible. Most of these coins got banged up, tossed around, dropped, scraped, or spent at gas stations. The good ones, the ones that somehow stayed pristine? Those became super rare and valuable. Some 1983 P quarters have what's called a reverse doubling error. That means the letters and design on the back of the coin look slightly double due to a minting mistake. And if you find a coin like that in mint state, we're talking top-notch, uncirculated condition, you're looking at serious cash. George Washington's profile, just like every quarter. The mint mark, P, will be on the front, near the bottom right of Washington's ponytail. That tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. The eagle, wings spread wide. Now look closely at the letters in E pluribus unum or United States of America. If they look slightly doubled, not blurry, but actually doubled, that's your clue. If the coin has sharp details, full rims, and no major scratches or nicks, it might be in what collectors call MS-67 or MS-68 condition. That's basically gem mint. Only a handful of 1983 P quarters in that condition exist with the doubling, and that's why the value shoots up to $1.7 million. A few years back, I was helping my dad clean out his old desk drawer. You know the one, full of rubber bands, old receipts, some coins, paper clips, random keys to who knows what. He had this little tray of change he swore had nothing valuable in it. I was just about to toss the whole thing in a coin jar when I spotted an older quarter. 1983 P. Now, at the time, I didn't know much about coin errors or doubling. But something about it looked off. I took it to a local coin dealer, just to be sure. Turns out, it wasn't one of the $1 million ones, but it was worth a few $100 thanks to its condition. Just imagine if I had thrown it out. Since then, I've been checking every quarter that passes through my hands. It's become a hobby, and a pretty exciting one too. So let's talk money. The current market value for a pristine 1983 P. Washington quarter with that reverse doubling error, graded MS-68 or higher? $1.7 million. There are collectors and investors out there who will pay top dollar for these coins, especially now when rare coins are seen as a smart way to diversify wealth. And these aren't just nerdy collectors with magnifying glasses. These are serious folks, bidding at auctions, dropping 6 and 7 figures like it's nothing. In 2024, a high-grade 1983 P with full strike details sold at auction for over $1 million and change. And since then, the market's only gotten hotter. You don't need a microscope or a lab. Just get yourself a magnifying glass, even one of those little coin loupes you can get online for cheap. Look closely at every 1983 P quarter you come across, check both sides. Look for doubling, sharp edges, no signs of wear. And if you think you've got something special, don't hesitate to take it to a professional coin grader or a reputable dealer. Not every quarter is gonna be a jackpot. But it only takes one coin. One moment of curiosity. And your life could change. Now let's say you find one of these coins, or maybe even just a high-quality 1983 P without the error. Should you sell it right away or hold on to it? Well, that depends. If the market keeps climbing, the value could go even higher. But if you've got bills to pay and someone's offering you a life-changing amount of cash, don't overthink it. Just make sure you get it professionally appraised and graded first. That makes all the difference. So there you have it, fellas. The 1983 P Washington Quarter. A humble little coin with a monster price tag. Worth 25 cents on the street, but in the right condition, it could be worth a life-changing $1.7 million. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. And every one of us has a shot at finding gold in the most unexpected places, in our pockets, drawers, and jars of spare change. If this video got you curious, go dig through your coins. Start checking. You never know what you might find. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe for more hidden coin secrets, and share this with a buddy. You might just help someone find their $1 million quarter. Where pocket change might just change your life. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your spare change? Not just grab it from the counter and toss it in a jar, but really looked? Because let me tell you, there could be a tiny treasure hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving into a Washington quarter that you probably spent on a cup of coffee at some point, but it could have made you a millionaire. That's right. We're talking about the 1979 D Washington Quarter. A little coin with a big price tag. One of these babies recently made waves when it hit the auction block for an eye-popping $1.8 million. So stick around, because we're going to uncover exactly what makes this coin so valuable, how you can identify one, and why checking your change might be the smartest thing you do today. Now I've got to tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. You know the type: old fishing rods, broken lawn chairs, boxes of stuff from the 70s. Well, in one of those dusty boxes was an old Folgers coffee can full of coins. He said it was just junk, but my coin collecting radar kicked in. I dumped it out on the floor like a kid on Christmas morning, and wouldn't you know it, there was a 1979 D quarter that looked, well, different. It didn't end up being the $1 million one, but it sparked my obsession with coin hunting. And now here we are. So let's break down what makes the 1979 D quarter so special. The 1979 D Washington Quarter was minted in Denver, which is what that little D stands for, and over 489 million of them were struck that year. Now you're probably thinking, if they made nearly $500 million of these, why would any be worth more than face value, let alone over $1 million? See, when it comes to coin collecting, it's not just about rarity in numbers. It's about rarity in condition, errors, and sometimes, plain old luck. The $1 million 1979 D quarter that made headlines was a perfect storm. First off, it was in near pristine condition. We're talking about a grade called MS 68+. That's mint state, meaning it looks practically untouched since the day it rolled out of the mint. Try finding a 45-year-old coin that's still that flawless, but here's the kicker: this particular coin also had a unique die error. You see, sometimes during the minting process, the dies used to stamp the coins can get slightly misaligned, overused, or even cracked. These small imperfections can lead to some big money. This coin had a bold D mint mark that was misaligned just slightly, and that caught the eye of collectors worldwide. Combine that with its top-tier grade and boom, you've got yourself a $1 million coin. So now you're probably itching to go through your change drawer. Let me tell you exactly what to look for. Start with the basics. Flip the coin to the obverse, or head side. Make sure it's a 1979 Washington quarter. Look just to the right of Washington's ponytail. You should see the D mint mark. Now, inspect it closely. If the D looks bolder, thicker, or slightly off-center compared to most other quarters, you might be onto something. Next, flip it over and examine the reverse side for any oddities, doubling, cracks, or weak details. Any sort of error can push the value up. That's everything. If it looks like it's been through 30 years of parking meters, it's probably not the one. But if it's unusually shiny, crisp, and barely circulated, it might be worth a closer look. If you think you found a gem, don't just shove it in a drawer. You need to get that thing professionally graded. There are companies like PCGS and NGC that specialize in coin grading. You send them the coin, they evaluate it under a microscope, and then give it a grade from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. That was graded MS 68+. That's like finding a vintage Corvette in showroom condition. If your quarter comes back with a similar grade, especially with an error, you could be holding a lottery ticket made of metal. Let's talk about that $1.8 million sale. The auction took place at a major coin convention, and the bidding war was fierce. Collectors and investors from all over the world were after it. And when the gavel hit, the price tag left the room stunned. Why would someone pay that much for a quarter? Well, aside from its rarity and condition, high-end coin collecting has become a massive investment game. Wealthy individuals are diversifying their portfolios with rare coins, and they're willing to pay top dollar. And let's not forget, there's only one known 1979 D quarter with that specific error in MS 68+ condition. It's one of one. That's all it takes. If you're ready to start hunting, here's what I recommend: start with your change jar. Look through all your quarters. Separate out the ones from the 70s and 80s. Pay close attention to 1979, especially if it has a D mint mark. Invest in a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. It makes a huge difference. You'll catch details you'd miss with the naked eye. Once you've got a few candidates, compare them to high-resolution images of certified coins online. There are great resources out there to help you get better at spotting the winners, and remember, don't clean your coins. Cleaning them can ruin the value. Just keep them as is and store them in a soft coin holder. Now, while you're at it, don't just stop at the 1979 D. There are tons of other quarters that could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands, of dollars. Keep an eye out for the 1983 P with no mint mark, the 2004 Wisconsin Extra Leaf Quarter, or the 1965 Silver Transition Quarter. Every year has its own oddities. And sometimes, it's the ones you least expect that end up being worth a fortune. That little 1979 D quarter might look like spare change, but under the right circumstances, it can be a gold mine. It's all about the details: the mint mark, the condition, the error. And most importantly, your willingness to take a second look. So before you drop that quarter into the vending machine or feed it into a parking meter, stop. Flip it over. Give it a once-over. You never know, you might be holding a piece of history that could pay off your house. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button like you're cashing in a $1.8 million coin. Subscribe for more deep dives into valuable coins and collecting strategies. And hey, drop a comment if you've ever found something amazing in your spare change. I'd love to hear your story. We talk about turning your pocket change into serious payday cash. Now I know what you're thinking. A quarter? Worth how much? But today, we're diving deep into a Washington quarter from 1980 that, believe it or not, is worth a jaw-dropping $1.9 million on the current market. That's right, a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about using to buy a gumball is now a treasure worth nearly $2 million. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's talk about how something as simple as a 25-cent piece from 1980 could change your life forever. And fellas, if you're between the age of 30 and 70, you're in the perfect group for this. You've probably handled thousands of these quarters in your lifetime. Heck, you might have one sitting in a jar right now. Let me tell you a quick story that'll make you want to dig through your change jar tonight. A buddy of mine, we'll call him Mike, is a retired mechanic, about 65 years old. Always loved collecting coins as a hobby. Nothing serious, just picking out odd ones from circulation. One day he's sorting through a big jar of change he's been tossing coins into for years. You know, the kind that weighs a ton and could break your foot if you dropped it. He's flipping through quarters and pulls out one that looks, well, pretty normal. 1980 Washington quarter with a little P mint mark on it. No big deal, right? Except Mike has a good eye. He notices something odd about the rim. He sets it aside and does a little digging online. Ends up sending it in for grading. Long story short, that little silver-colored quarter came back with a surprise, high grade. Rare error. And a value that nearly knocked his dentures loose. It ended up being worth over $1 million. That's when I knew we had to do a video on this coin. Let's rewind the clock to 1980. The year the Rubik's Cube hit America, Pac-Man came out, and everyone had a corded phone in the kitchen. The US Mint was pumping out Washington quarters like they were going out of style. Over 635 million 1980 quarters were minted in Philadelphia. That's a lot of quarters, and that's where this story gets good. The 1980 P Washington quarter carries the P Mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't even regularly use a mint mark until 1980. That's what makes this year so significant. It was the first time Philly quarters officially got the little P mark. That alone gives it historical importance, but history doesn't give it $1 million price tag. No, sir. That comes from rarity, condition, and special mint errors. Now let's talk money. You're here for the big number. And yes, one of these 1980 P quarters recently made headlines for selling at auction for $1.9 million. That's mint state, basically untouched, straight out of the roll, flawless under magnification. Out of 635 million minted, only a few hundred are even close to that condition. Second, it had a double die obverse error. That's where the die, the thing that stamps the coin, shifts slightly between strikes, causing letters, numbers, or features on the coin's front to appear doubled. The motto "In God We Trust" looked a bit blurry and thick under magnification. Same with Liberty. That's a big red flag to collectors, and in a good way. Add in the fact that it's from that first year of the P Mint mark, and it becomes a perfect storm of value. Check the front of the coin. You need a 1980 with a small letter P right next to Washington's ponytail. That's the Philly Mint mark. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at "In God We Trust" and Liberty. If you see any doubling, you might be onto something. No scratches, no dents, no pocket lint damage. You want that coin as crisp as the day it rolled off the press. That means all the little details, Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers on the back, are sharp and clear. If your coin checks all those boxes, don't go spending it on a vending machine snack. Get it graded. It could be worth a fortune. Simple. There are two big dogs in the coin world, PCGS and NGC. Both are professional grading services. You ship the coin in, they check it out under high-powered scopes, assign a grade, and send it back in a tamper-proof holder. If your coin scores MS 65 or higher, you've got something valuable. If it hits MS 67 or better with a known mint error, you're looking at serious money. Maybe not $1.9 million right away, but certainly thousands, and possibly hundreds of thousands depending on demand and rarity. The key is finding a clean coin with rarity attached to it. That's what collectors will pay big for. Let's look at a few real sales just to prove we're not blowing smoke. 1 1980 P quarter in MS 67 condition with minor doubling sold for $18,000 back in 2023. Another one, same grade, sold for $42,000 just 6 months later. Why the jump? Market demand, baby. These coins are heating up. That came with both a perfect grade and a dramatic doubling error. That's the unicorn. But every coin collector knows, unicorns exist, and they come in the form of forgotten change. Start by checking your pocket change. I know it sounds silly, but you'd be amazed what slips through the cracks. Then go through any old jars, rolls from the bank, coin collections passed down from family, even flea market junk trays. Anywhere there's a quarter, there's a chance, and if you're serious, invest in a good magnifying glass and maybe a coin microscope. You can get one for about $20 online. Start flipping quarters and keeping a sharp eye on those 1980 P dates. So there you have it, my friends. A 1980 P Washington quarter that could be worth $1.9 million. It's out there. It might be in your house right now, hiding between couch cushions or buried in an old coffee can. Be the guy who finds it, gets it graded, and walks away with life-changing money. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe for more coin secrets, and drop a comment below if you've got a 1980 P in your stash. I'd love to hear your story. Keep your change, because you never know what it might be worth.